Hey Hodies, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is hautemesstom. Today we're going to be reviewing the items that I bought in February of 2022, reflecting on whether or not those were good purchases or not. My channel, if you are new here, is all about loving my makeup collection as it currently is. I do sometimes review new things or new to me things. I do have a very small budget for review, and I also do set some money aside for whenever I feel inspired to buy a beauty purchase that I'm interested in for me, not so much for review on the channel, that I do buy. So if that kind of content sounds good to you, loving on your collection and being inspired by your own makeup collection, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video, and I'm on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. There's absolutely no pressure though. I'm just so happy that you are here. Thank you to all of my wonderful, patient, lovely patrons for this month. It has been quite the month. Patrons, if it's not up already, very shortly you will have a video kind of explaining where I have been, but I do also want to apologize to all of my subscribers. It's been just a time, but I am back in the saddle. I am here. I am ready to talk to you. I'm neon, I'm grungy, I'm everything, I'm nothing. So the first thing I bought in February of last year was this set of things. This is a lash adhesive, but it kind of works like an eyeliner. It has a brush tip applicator. Now this is a clear one, but I always wear lashes with black eyeliner, so the applicator is black because of that, and it also came with this set of lashes. Now the fact that I am holding up the lashes in front of you right now should be a pretty good indicator that I don't wear false lashes enough to have warranted this purchase. I bought these from one of my favorite local indie makeup stores called The Gilded Girl. I've talked about them before. I'll link them down below. If you live in the United States, they do ship. So if you ever want to support a small business in Pittsburgh, I would love to hear that you've done that. It's not affiliated or anything like that. I just am I'm kind of friends with the owner. Like, she's a friend of a friend, but I think of her very fondly. She's a wonderful human. She's also won Jeopardy, and she also won some other game show, some kind of other game show. I don't know what it's called, but I will, if I can figure it out, I'll tell you which game show it was. Very smart person. Her name is Liz. She's like fabulous. Also, I'll link the Gilded Girl's Instagram down there just so you can keep tabs on them. Or if you're ever in Pittsburgh and you want to visit an indie makeup store, I will just leave that information down there so, you know, you can visit if you'd like. I walked into the Gilded Girl. I can't walk into the Gilded Girl without purchasing something. And I don't actually go to the Gilded Girl very often because of that, because I will always buy something. I walk into the Gilded Girl and she's like, we just got these in. You know, I mean, as someone who has to really fight the urge to buy things, giving me buzzwords like, this is the last one, or we just got these in. Two things I love to hear. Two things my crazy animal brain go, I will now need to buy that. She says that she doesn't really like putting lashes on herself, but she has found great success using these. So they came in a pair. You could only buy them as a unit. I think they cost about $55 together. The lashes are, I believe, they're not mink or anything like that. They're cruelty-free, vegan, all those beautiful things, PETA approved. Here's the thing, I like these lashes, but also I'm not a consistent lash wearer. What I like about this particular lashes, this is their, what do they call these ones? These are their Halle. This is their Halle ones. They're really pretty. They're dramatic enough, but natural enough. But here's the thing. I cannot put on a lash to save my life. Now, this is definitely the easiest way that I've ever been able to put on a lash, you know, kind of just like drawing along the lash line and then applying it. And what's great is there's no like wait time. You just kind of do this really, it's like, like you have time, but it's not, you don't have to go so fast, but you also don't have to like wait for that question mark time period of like, has the glue dried enough or is it not dried enough? I can't be to learn how to do that. Like, I just can't. Like, I don't care enough. And I like the way that my lashes look with mascara on. And like, yeah, definitely on camera, and definitely like whenever you're getting like photos taken, lashes are a really great asset. Like, if you're getting professional pictures done, if you can have someone professionally apply a lash to you, it's gonna look better, right? It just does look better. But for my everyday life, and even on YouTube, I don't even find it being like a very big issue that I don't wear lashes. Like, I don't need to do it. So I do hold on to them in case I ever feel inspired to do lash. I wore these out one time. And by the end of the night, the one was like living on a prayer. She was like, I don't know that I'm going to make it home with you. And I wouldn't have been completely devastated. In fact, if it had fallen off in public and it did not make it home with me, I just would have been like, well, that's that. But I do think when I'm done with these lashes, I think I've worn them maybe 5 times. When I'm done with these lashes, what's going to happen is I'll never buy lashes again. And I say that, and then what will happen, I'll be like, well, maybe I'll give lashes another try. I'll buy another thing of lashes. Then I'll be like, oh, this isn't the right adhesive. I'll buy another adhesive for them, and it'll be like a whole to-do, and then I won't be a lash person. And it's just like the cycle of life that I have found myself in. I just never got into lashes, and I don't feel like I have to. Probably not the best purchase for me. Liz got me. But I love Liz, and I do not begrudge that for her. And like, you know, it would have been really nice if I tried this and it really turned me into a lash girly and it did the thing. But then that's another thing I would have to buy. I had to buy lashes all the time because, you know, you can only wear them so many times before they start falling apart. And here's another thing. I know you're supposed to clean them. I don't know how to do that. So that's another reason I don't wear them that often, is because like even if I could get into them, it's like they get dirty and then I'd be like, well, that's that. If I were a drag performer, I'd be the drag performer who had the really gross glue encrusted lashes, because I feel like I just don't know what to do with these. Or maybe because I'm browless, I'd be both browless and lashless as a drag performer. Will I ever be a drag performer? No. Although my friend David, who is a drag performer, he was like, we can do that. And I was like, I want real hair. I want a long pony. I want something I can whip if I'm gonna do it. But don't take this from me, but if I was a drag performer, to keep the branding, her name would be Haute Miss. I heard you all clapping at home. The next thing that I bought in February of last year was the Hella palette, which was the collaboration between Angelica and Odin's Eye. I don't have this palette in my collection anymore, and it's not because I didn't enjoy it. I actually really did enjoy that palette. You can see on my eyes today, I have very similar colors to what was in the Hella palette. That's the thing. The Hella palette, and kind of any grungy color story, and the color story I'm wearing right now on my eyes is pretty unwarranted as well. I'm wearing the Glaminatrix Nocturnal palette. For the most part, I also have a little bit of Kava from the Gold palette, another grungy green palette. You see what I mean? It's like one of those color stories that I'm very attracted to, but it's like once you have one, you have the other. Oh, obviously there's variation, right? Like this is not the same exact thing as the Hella palette. It's not the same exact thing as the Kaleidos Flower Punk palette. It's not the same thing as the Trixie Cosmetics Plant Gay palette, but similar concept. And once you start having the overlap of these grungy greens, which is what I'm always attracted to, like when you look at this, you might be more attracted to the blues and purples, but all I see is these like green, funky green colors. And like, that's what I'm into. Do you know what I already have? Because I already like funky, grungy green colors. I have a bunch of funky, grungy green colors. And so I don't need a palette that has, can you tell I haven't filmed? I feel like it's like I haven't talked in 2 weeks. I'm like, no, I'm like, hello, welcome. You're my therapist. And I'm just gonna dump everything on you. And the Hella palette satisfied a lot of needs that I didn't have, right? And it was like a want. Now, was it a bad purchase? I don't think so. Like, it was really nice to review it. It was nice to try the Odin's Eye formula for the first time. And I think as someone who's on YouTube, while I don't feel compelled to try every formula, I think getting my hands into and on my face, having some breadth of variety of brands so I can speak to them and the qualities that I've had experiences with when they do launch new things, I think that's like kind of relevant. I was speaking from like, if I wasn't on YouTube and I didn't review it for YouTube and I like already had a grungy green color story, then the Hella palette wouldn't have been a good purchase for me. As solely just a consumer of makeup, the Hella palette was not a good purchase for me because I already had the Gold palette. And as I already told you, like the greens and yellows in the Hella palette attracted me to it in the first place. So I already had that in this. And it does have that row of pinks, but I have pinks and I kind of notoriously don't really love to wear pink cosmetics on my eyes. So that row of like those pink shadows like didn't add a lot of value to the palette or my collection because it's like, you know, I'm not going to reach for those all of the time. And then that bottom row with those really sooty shades, while that was the part that I was always drawn to the most, it had the most texture, those were the shadows that I loved using the most. Whenever I did my Eye for an Eye series, I very easily found other shadows in my collection that had that sooty quality. So while the Hella palette drew my attention to how attracted to like sooty, kind of eyeshadows, like really smoky looks that I could be into and attracted to. It did draw my attention to that and like kind of it woke me up and made me notice that it's like, you like these kind of eyeshadow looks. It did that for me, but it was like I still already had stuff that was very similar to it in my makeup collection. And you know, that's why whenever I buy an eyeshadow palette, I always do the Eye for an Eye series, where I take the eyeshadow palette that I just purchased, I take my single eyeshadow collection and my removable pan eyeshadow collection, and I make a dupe of the palette. I put the palette I bought on one eye and I put the eyeshadow palette that I made on the other eye. I see how close I can get. And while, you know, I never get like a perfect dupe, it's like never exactly the same. The way it looks, the way it feels, the feeling it evokes is the same. Right? It doesn't have to be exactly those eyeshadows. So yeah, but as I said, as a consumer, the Hella palette, maybe not the best purchase. If I just wore makeup on my own, the Hella palette would have been a not great purchase for me. As someone who talks about makeup on YouTube and likes to know things to be able to say, I have tried their formulas and I know how I feel about at least the formulas in one of their eyeshadow palettes, which, you know, is also a limited experience, but I'm also not trying to try every eyeshadow palette from every brand, because if you're new here, eyeshadows are like not my favorite part of the cosmetic industry. And I know that a lot of people, that's really where their heart is, but I find much more nuance in complexion product, in specifically like primers, foundations, contours, blushes, like that stuff, baby. That's where you'll find me. That's what I love. And that's what's great about beauty, is because we can all fall in love with different things. Some people really love lipstick. Some people really love eyeshadows. Some people only wear mascara, and that's like what, you know, that's what they love. So like eyeshadows, it doesn't behoove me to try every eyeshadow brand or behoove me to try every eyeshadow release from every brand, which is why a lot of the times whenever people ask me to review eyeshadows, I was like, I mean, I might be a good resource to review eyeshadow palettes because I like don't get that excited about them, because I have tried almost every eyeshadow color on my eyes. And while there's definitely different tweaks and nuances whenever you're trying different formulas and different shades from different brands, it's not that different. It's not that different. And while I don't even have the most vast single eyeshadow collection, I have enough to get by to like, if I were feeling like a spicy blue eyeshadow, you know, look, I could do that with my collection. The Hella palette, well, I did really enjoy it and I held it in really high regard. I did pass it on to a friend. I hope that they get more use out of it than I would, because it wasn't going to get any love in my collection, because if I was going to do a grungy green eye look, I was going to reach for this. And while I'm still testing this to, you know, give it a more in-depth review, now I'm reaching for this. So if it was still in my collection, I would overlook it for this, because again, this evokes the same kind of feeling. I had the Noctex Antiquities palette, which had a very similar grungy yellow-green color story. You know, I got my fix of this color story. And while anytime a brand releases a color story like that, I am very instantly attracted to it. I am. But I think having the Hella palette, also trying this one from Glam and Natrix, really showed me it's like, they're not gonna like tickle you the way they think you're going to. So, you know, if I hadn't bought the Hella palette, I wouldn't have learned that either. I don't regret it. It just wasn't the best purchase. And I think that's okay. I think we can think of a makeup purchase as like, maybe not the best purchase, but also not as a regret. Because if you reflect on it and take the time and you learn something that you about yourself and your makeup collection that you didn't know before that purchase, it could have been worthwhile to learn that lesson. Could have been worth that purchase. That's how I feel about the Hella palette. It's like, it kind of taught me, it's like, you could have done this. Like, you didn't need this. This doesn't tickle, this doesn't satisfy anything that you couldn't have done. And I wouldn't have known that had I not purchased it. And this palette, you know, since we're talking about the lesson learned from the Hella palette, and then you're like, well, why did you buy this? It's like, my constituency, my subscribers, my viewers wanted to know what I thought of it. And that's the only reason I bought this. I wouldn't have bought this if I didn't have a YouTube channel and people interested in hearing what I had to think about it. So that's the difference. That's why sometimes whenever you're watching creators, if you're not a creator yourself or you're not someone who wears makeup every day, these are the lessons that you should be taking away for yourself and hearing for yourself and being like, how can I apply that to myself? Like, maybe you're not into grungy green color stories, but maybe you're into like soft pink color stories and you have a lot of those eyeshadow palettes and you keep buying the new one, and then you're like, maybe that's like the you know what I mean? Like, you should take what happens here and apply it to your own collection. Wow, I'm brilliant and smart. Wow, I've been away from the internet for a long time, but I'm happy to be back. Is everyone gonna be mean to me? Don't bully me. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's video and you're not subscribed, this was a short one. Normally I talk for a really long time, so you got out scot-free, okay? But you should subscribe for more torture from me. Make sure you like this video before you leave it. That really helps me in the algorithm. That's the best way to support any channel. Leave a comment down below. Was there anything that you bought last year that you reflected on and you feel differently about now than you did then? Do you track your purchases in any kind of way so you can do what I'm doing here? I would love to know. Again, I'm on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. There's, again, no pressure to, like I said, the best way to support me is to like and comment here, but I do appreciate anyone who does support me on Patreon. I can also tell that I have been watching Gilmore Girls because I felt like I talked really fast in this video. And that's another thing that if I watch something for a long time before recording, I will try to match pace with whoever I'm watching. So right now I've been watching a lot of IMHO in my homosexual opinion, and they do like drag race coverage, and I'm watching like old seasons. I'm watching them cover old seasons. So Darby and Alexis B. Bevels and sometimes Auntie Chan, I'll be watching them. And then there's also, you know, I've been watching Gilmore Girls, and if you never watched Gilmore Girls, they talk really fast. And I already have the capacity to talk really fast, so I don't need encouragement. Okay, I'm gonna leave. Bye. Okay, remember to follow your hote, and you will find me. Bye-bye. You guys have been really enjoying the dulcet tones, and also I haven't been feeling well, so we're gonna go down. No, it's like I have to start higher and go lower because I can't really start on the low note.